Hi students, welcome to session 4 of wastewater management. Students, in today's session we will study about problems faced due to the improper management of sewage. So students, we are through with the alternative methods of sewage disposal and control of sewage generation. So now we need to discuss about this important topic too, that what are the problems which we are facing due to the improper management of sewage. That is why we can understand the importance of the proper sewage disposal. So let us start with today's session and learn about the management of sewage. Yes students, effects of improper management of sewage or problems which are faced due to improper management of sewage. Now students, one of the most common sources of water pollution is the discharge of untreated or partly treated sewage in water. In water means in lakes, rivers, streams. So basically it is the untreated or partly treated sewage in water bodies, sometimes due to improper sewage handling processes of municipal water bodies, right? So pollution caused by sewage water is one of the major problem in cities, and this is very common in major cities. Sewage water is drained off into rivers without the treatment, and careless disposal of sewage water leads to the creation of the chain of problems like spreading of diseases, increase in biological oxygen demand, oxygen depletion, eutrophication, etc. So wastewater that flows after its use for domestic, industrial and other recreational purposes is termed as sewage water. So in ideal situations, students, sewage water is channeled or it is piped out of cities for treatment, and bulk of the sewage contains water as the main component, while other constituents include the organic wastes and chemicals. So these chemicals are actually creating the water pollution because of the contaminants, because of the harmful chemicals which are present in it. So these all add to the contaminants in the water, which pollutes the water. So the water pollution occurring from sewage is mainly observed in developing countries like India and other countries too. So in these countries, disposal of sewage is not carried out in proper manner, and in developed nations, a network of sewage pipes takes the sewage away from the cities. So treatment of the waste minimizes the pollution caused by the sewage water, and so we must keep in mind that how we can make a proper management, or we can take a proper management of sewage disposal, because there are many causes of sewage water pollution, like improper handling of wastewater. Like here I'll show you figure, I'll show you a picture. Now from this picture you can try to understand, you can try to depict what is this actually the picture depicting. It is narrating that improper handling of wastewater is the main reason behind the pollution of water. And the sewage drained off in large quantities into rivers is also contaminating it. So it slows down the process of dilution of water constituents, and this in turn stagnates the river. And it also causes health problems, for example diarrhea and many other health problems, right? So draining the water without treatment is one of the major causes of pollution. Like effluents contained in the sewage water contain innumerable pathogen and harmful chemicals, and the detergents that release phosphates in water also allow the growth of algae and water hyacinths, which leads to the eutrophication. So there are many ill effects of sewage pollution. So we should keep in mind that how we can solve this type of problem at a national level, because the pathogens present in the sewage water spread many different diseases, and stagnant water means the steady water which is not flowing. These water fosters the growth of mosquitoes, which in turn causes malaria. And another disease that spreads to contaminated water is typhoid. So basically, I need to say that many of our major rivers such as Ganges and Yamuna receive tons of untreated sewage daily, thereby making the water unfit for drinking and other domestic uses. So these rivers are regarded as open sewers, as large quantities of wastes are dumped in them every day. So this contamination is responsible for major waterborne epidemics such as jaundice, cholera, hepatitis, etc. So students, there are many sewage water may also contain bacteria and protozoans, and these pathogens pose a great risk to human health because polluted water is the host to several pathogenic microbes, and the process of excessive deposition of chemical nutrients in the water bodies is basically leading to eutrophication, which we studied in the previous sessions, right? So it is one of the many problems caused by the sewage water pollution. This is just one of the many problems. There are other problems too which are caused due to sewage water pollution, like degradation of the quality of water, then reduction in the number of fish and marine habitats, and increase in the biological oxygen demand. They are the major effects of eutrophication. Increase in the concentration of phosphates, nitrates and other chemicals, including organic waste in the water bodies, causes excessive growth of algae and bacteria. Growth of these organisms are responsible for increase in biological oxygen demand and thereby reduction in the number of aquatic creatures. Even the toxins released in rivers through sewage water are consumed by the fish and other organisms in the water, other aquatic animals, and the possibility of toxins entering the food chain thereby increase the coral reefs, food chain thereby entering increases, right? Even the coral reefs are affected by sewage pollution all the world over, right? So the sewage water that is dumped in oceans affects the coral reefs to a great extent, and toxins present in polluted water inhibits the growth of corals. So basically I need to say that water bodies in the natural form contain many different chemical compounds like nitrates, chlorides, sulfates, etc. An increase in the amount of these compounds only will create many problems. For example, water becomes unsuitable for drinking and irrigation. Water that contains salts is not useful for irrigation either. Use of such type of water for agricultural purpose also leads to salinization of soil, right? Which in turn causes soil erosion. So soil erosion is also adding to one of the major factor. So we should keep in mind that how these problems can be solved. And students, another problem which can occur is leakages in several places in the main water supply line, where the water gets mixed with the sewerage water. So this is also one of the major problem. Even due to faulty sewer lines, the dirt often flows out into the open and enters into the open area and enters the water pipelines. So basically, due to this, the water supply gets contaminated, and people consuming contaminated water may suffer from diseases like gastroenteritis. I will write it down for you. Yes. Gastroenteritis. So students, people consuming contaminated water may suffer from diseases like typhoid, dysentery, gastroenteritis, etc. And since water supply lines are underground, finding the exact points of leakage also becomes very difficult. So this is one thing which should be kept in mind. right? So we are through with this topic of problems which are faced due to improper disposal or improper sewage disposal, improper management of sewage. Now we also need to discuss one case study which is of Ganga Action Plan, with which you will come to know, and you must know about this case study. So let us discuss about it. Yes students, case study of Ganga Action Plan, also popularly it was known by GAP, G-A-P. So students, in this Ganga Action Plan, the principal sources of pollution in the river Ganga are domestic and industrial wastes. So this was the main topic of concern in the river of Ganga, Here approximately 1.7 billion liters of effluents flow into Ganga river each day, out of which 1.4 billion liters is untreated. Now you can imagine by yourself that what type of water it would be, right? So the Ganga Action Plan was launched. It was launched in 1986, where the main objective of the program was to improve the water quality of river Ganga, and that is why this case study, we are discussing about this case study. You need to know, right? Now this action plan included diversion of wastewater flowing directly into the Ganga and installing sewage treatment plants to treat this wastewater and other pollution control measures like solid waste management. So in this way, this action plan came into existence, and now here you can see that there is some difference after the Ganga Action Plan came into existence, because it included the diversion of wastewater flowing directly into Ganga, and the sewage treatment plants were treated, by which this wastewater would be treated and other pollution control measures were treated. So this plan laid emphasis on public awareness and participation to keep the Ganga river clean, and there is still a lot of work to be done in regard to the plan. So in this way, by changing the system and by managing the sewage disposal system, in this way much steps are taken, and this plan is really helping out to clear the water of the river Ganga. So this was just the case study. Now we need to discuss about the other important topic, the last but not the least one, sanitation in public places. So let us discuss about it. Yes, sanitation in public places. Now students, proper sanitation should also be maintained at public places such as the bus depots, railway station, airports, malls, fairs, etc. There are many other places too, but I have mentioned only few of them, right? So since a large number of people gather at these places, the waste generated is also very large, and this must be disposed of properly. And therefore, even public conveniences and dustbins have been built by the government, which helps in maintaining the sanitation in public places. So it's now our duty, not the government's duty, it's now our duty that how we can maintain sanitation in public places by using the dustbins and the other public conveniences, right? So as a responsible citizen, we should maintain cleanliness inside and even outside our homes. Now we know very well that where a large number of people are using one area, such as the bus station or school, especially when they are eating food from the same source, there is a greater risk of spread of diseases such as cholera, hepatitis, even typhoid and diarrhea diseases. So these places vary in the number of people using them and the amount of time that people spend there and the type of activity that occurs in the area. But all public places need to have adequate sanitation and hygiene facilities, right? So the responsibility for the provision of sanitation facilities in public places is not always obvious, especially where these are informal gathering places, where there are informal gathering places, right? So it is vital, however, that agency monitors the sanitation facilities in public places on behalf of the users, and ideally this should be the part of the role of the ministry or Ministry of Health or its equivalent. So special attention should be paid to the adequacy of facilities, their availability to the public, and the conditions of their operation. So there are several basic rules for sanitation in public places, like there should be sufficient toilet facilities for the maximum number of people using the area during the day, and this normally means that one toilet compartment for every 25 users, but not more than that. Even the toilet facilities should be arranged in separate blocks for men and women, and the men's toilet block should have urinals and toilet compartments different or separated than the women's block toilet compartments, right? The total number of urinals plus the compartments in the men's block should be equal to the total number of the compartments in the women's block. There should not be any partiality. So this is also one of the things which the government should keep in mind. Then toilet facilities should not be connected to directly to the kitchens. This is in order to reduce the number of flies entering the kitchen and to reduce the odors reaching the kitchen. And it is important that people using the toilet facilities cannot pass directly through the kitchen, right? There must also be a hand washing basin with clean water and soap close to the toilet facilities, and there should be separate similar facilities near to the kitchen or where the food is handled, right? So it should not be near, but it should be some far away, so that flies would not enter into kitchen directly. Even there must be a clean and reliable water supply for hand washing, personal hygiene, and flushing of the toilet facilities. Then the water supply should meet quality standards, and it should be regularly tested to ensure that any contamination is discovered quickly and that appropriate remedial action is taken. Even refuse must be disposed of properly and not allowed to build up, as it will attract flies and many other insects too. So responsibilities of cleaning the sanitation facilities or cleaning the sanitation facilities should be very clearly defined. Dirty facilities make it more like that people will continue to use the facilities badly, and so the clean facilities set a good example to users, and that is why government should think about it. So there are other things too. As a responsible citizen, plastic bags, metal cans and other wastes should be thrown in the bins meant for them, not on the road. And this becomes necessary because these wastes can find up the way to the underground drainage system and they can clog them up. And that is why we should keep this thing in mind. Even clogging up would result in the blockage of sewage pipes and the sewage flowing back onto the streets and colonies, so thereby it will pollute the water too. Even during monsoon season, it will lead to the flooding of streets and traffic jams. So this is important. This is important to make sure that the information on the health is available in public places about the health, and such information should be displayed in an eye-catching, simple and accurate way. When appropriate, large posters with bright colors and well-chosen messages should be put up in obvious places, and it should be effective. So health and hygiene messages may be passed to the public using such posters in public places, and these messages should include the promotion of hand washing, use of the clean water and soaps, then use of the toilet and the toilet facilities, rules of the toilet facilities. It should not be used by 50 people in one day or at a time. And also the messages should include the protection of water supplies. Right? So this is all about the sanitation in public places, and we should keep that in mind. Right? So as a responsible citizen, you should think of how we can manage at a very low level, or rather at a very smaller level. How can we manage this disposal system? Right? So we are through with our session 4, and I hope you liked today's session too. So we will meet in the next session with a new lesson. Till then, keep learning, keep enjoying, and keep in mind all the points and do implement it. Thank you, students.